A couple of months ago, I saw this tweet about how a YouTuber slash streamer did a Through the Fire and Flames 200% perfect clear on Guitar Hero. It took me about a year and a half of constantly just, doing this. And a lot of people were, really happy for him and celebrating. But also a lot of people were saying, hey, was it really worth a year and a half of your life to click buttons? And that got me thinking. And it's been so long since I've made a video. I just really want to talk about it because recently I've seen more and more people talk about. I guess I've been more aware of the whole concept of wasting time and productivity. I would say, um, and I just wanted to sit down and have a chat. For full context, I am as Asian as I can get. When I grew up, my parents basically, well, I was interested. I wanted to, but I did learn violin, English, Chinese, stuff like that. I learned art. I learned climbing. I took archery lessons. Took a bunch of like weird stuff, right? Because this was helping me improve as a person, trying to find my interests and stuff like that. But like I spend a lot of time learning different things, right? And then I grew up and started being addicted to video games. So I have 10,000 hours on RuneScape, 3,000 hours on Valorant, and, 5,000 A-rank games on League of Legends, not including the ranked games I've overplayed over the years. And I'm still bad at all of them. That's not the point. The point is, what is productivity? What is considered a waste of time? And I really want to like kind of explore that idea today. So, first of all, I think if you ask me right now, do I regret spending all of that time over there? Currently, at my current stage, yes, I do. I feel like I could have done so much more with my time, and well, I could have been picking up new skills or whatever. Something that I currently feel like is something that I feel like I should prioritize more. In about 10 years, which one would I prefer? Who knows? But that's, I think, where it's interesting, right? To give more context on also another perspective, I studied in one of the best hospitality schools in the world in Switzerland, and one of the things they taught was you have to learn a little bit of everything so that you can succeed in the industry. What do I mean by that? Well, we learned hospitality management, right? So basically running hotels as the very, very beginning of what we did. So we did stuff like learning how to cook in a Michelin star restaurant. We learned how to serve. We learned how to just do bartending, tiny little bits of each thing, but just to kind of touch into each thing so that you know kind of how to manage people who work in that field, right? Same thing as content creation. If you see a lot of people that are talking about like, oh, you need to edit the first 5 videos before you start outsourcing, right? I think that's a very common thing because you need to know kind of what you're expecting and also like how to talk to editors and stuff like that to have a vision. This goes to a lot of different industries in the world and also just a lot of everything in life, right? Know a little bit before you could start like, figuring out. So it happens these days, and it's also easy for us to pick up a lot of different hobbies or different like things because we want to know a little bit more about the things, right? And I think that's a great thing. Where was I? Recently, over the last few months, I've been learning how to code. I can't say a code because that's not true. I learned how to vibe code using AI to teach me things. I made something called Aparie.net, which is which is a flashcards tool. Let me just show it right. Cool. Is this self plug? Is this okay? Am I allowed to do this? Here's a video, and it's just basically this, right? You could use flashcards, practice, and I'm just gonna randomly click. We're building it, so if you're interested in just kind of like learning stuff and stuff like that, feel free to go over there to take a look. Okay. Anyways, back for enough self-plugging. But that got me thinking, right? Do I want to become a developer? Probably not. Is it useful for me to pick up a little bit of knowledge on coding? At this point, I'm not really in a good state to really say whether or not it's a good thing, right? But also, is it a good thing to kind of pick up languages in general? The reason why I coded this was because one of my good friends wanted to teach me German. And exploring, we kind of got back into the whole like, hey, how good is language learning for me as a person? A couple of years ago, I used to think that was a great thing, right? And then I decided at one point it was like, hey, language learning really isn't all that important. It's, we're at an age where Google Translate can, or AI can translate a lot of languages, and you don't really need it in order to succeed in a certain industry, right? I took French for like 4 years, but learning French for 4 years isn't going to make or break my career, right? Picking up Japanese isn't really going to, with 5,000 hours of studying Japanese, am I going to be able to dominate the Japanese market? Not sure. Not sure. Maybe. But, there's also a lot of time you could spend on more things that may be able to help you better, right? So here comes the point. I think what I'm trying to say is that time is, well, time spent on things is really situational, right? It depends on the person, right? And I want to bring both sides of the argument over here. So people always, I think the easiest thing to say in general is saying like, hey, yeah, video games is a waste of time. And to that, I would argue some, yes. But I've learned so much. What was it worth? 5,000 hours, 3,000 hours of Valorant? No. But I have learned communication skills, working together in a team, other valuable things that I would be able to pick up from this, and maybe somewhere else as well. Dealing with really, really toxic and really obnoxious people. Yeah. I definitely would not see this in other places. Right. And on the other side of things, right, it's like, hey, is, you have people that are saying like, oh, why do you play video games? Go read instead. And the stuff that they're reading is like absolute slop, right? Just because you're reading a book doesn't mean that you are somewhat more productive than I am, right? If you're reading, like, I saw this I saw this photo of somebody posting that like, oh yeah, I read like 52 books a year, and everybody zoomed in, and it was like all just like rom-coms and like actual like erotica fiction. Of course, this is me being judgmental right now, but I'm just saying like it's different for everybody, right? Just because you're playing video games doesn't necessarily mean you're wasting more time than somebody who's watching mukbang videos for 5 hours a night. Example, right? And I think this goes to a lot of different things, such as maybe even learning obscure languages that really aren't that helpful, learning things that are, and this is not to knock on anything. I think it's more of a way to say like, hey, there is a bright side to doing every single thing. You just really have to find it, right? I could be spending so much time doing one certain thing, but it's just how I end up that day. So I think really what I want to say here is just, it really just matters at the end of the day. Are you happy with yourself? Which is a really like weird thing to say, but it's like, there are times when I play video games and at the end of the day, it's just like, oh man, why did I waste so much time doing it? And that feels bad. But I think as long as you're saying, hey, I learned something today, I enjoy my time today, I'm improving in things that I care about, I think that's a good thing, right? And especially for that Twitch streamer who spent, a year and a half, he built a brand out of he built his personal brand out of this, and I think that's a respectable thing. Like, we're at the age where this type of stuff is good, right? You can make a career out of content, and for the people who say he wasted time, well, you might not agree with the content that he's posting, but potentially he can make a full career out of this, and that speaks more about him than the people that are sitting there hate tweeting on Twitter. Anyways, I just want to put this in a positive note. Have fun doing what you want. Don't let other people tell you that you are or are not wasting your time. Trust me, everybody is wasting their time on their own. And if you're not, good for you. Honestly, I want to become somebody like that. And yeah, screw what other people say. Think about what you feel, about what you do. And as long as you're happy, that's good. Make sure that you're responsible towards your future self. Anyways, bye.